guys, MTech Guy here. Now then, if you've been following the channel, you'll see that I put out a video recently where I experienced a DSC fault with the E60 M5. So this video is going to be a follow-on to that video where I dug a little bit deeper, and I'll let you guys know what I found and where I'm at with it. Okay, so just to recap, I've been daily driving the car recently. Now, I took the car to work the first week on the Monday, and on the way home from work came up with multiple faults on the dashboard. Following morning, plugged my scan tool in, I read the codes, and they all related to modules that couldn't see the signal from the DSC system for all 4 wheel speed sensors. Now, I didn't clear the codes, but what happened was when I pulled out my driveway, got to the end of my street, all the faults cleared on the dash, everything seemed good as gold, and I drove the car for the rest of the week every day. No more faults, everything looked okay. So what I did that weekend, I put that previous video out just showing what I'd found and where I was at with it. And then what I did later that weekend, I dug a bit deeper. I tested all 4 wheel speed sensors. They were reading okay, backwards and forwards. I didn't have any codes for the DSC pump, but while I had the scan tool plugged in, I just ran it anyway, just for the sake of it. Everything looked okay, the pump was running okay. So the wheel speed sensors looked okay, and overall the DSC module looked pretty happy. So what I'm finding is when it does fault, it only happens briefly, so it does make it difficult to test the DSC module. Okay, so moving on into week 2, I was starting to think it could be a low voltage issue that was causing it, because when it did happen on that Monday the week previous, the car had been sitting around for 2 or 3 weeks undriven, and anybody who owns one of these cars will know that any drop in battery voltage can cause a multitude of issues. So anyhow, I tested the battery, it came out at 12.5 volts. Now this was after I'd been checking a few things with the scan tool, and that does create quite a bit of a draw on it. Didn't have a charger on the battery at the time, so after that 12.5 volts I was quite happy with that. And then with the engine running, with the alternator doing its thing, it was reading 14.3 volts, so I was happy that the battery and the charging system was doing its job properly. And when I had the scan tool connected, I could see that there was only the original codes that had popped up in the background there. There was no new codes. So what I did at that stage, I cleared all the codes, and we'll see how we go from there. Then moving on, week 3, it didn't fault all week until it got to Thursday. Now what happened, I left work, stopped by at the supermarket on the way home, went and grabbed a few groceries, and when I came back out to the car, bearing in mind the car's all warmed up and hot at this stage, cranked it over, and that's when all them original fault lights appeared on the dash again. When I got home, got the scan tool plugged in, and it was exactly the same codes that I'd had the previous time around, so all them modules not being able to see the wheel speed sensor from the DSC module for all 4 wheel speed sensors. Alright, so something's going on here, we're seeing a pattern now. So week 4, drove the car every day again, and it didn't fault. And it seems to have been alright ever since. I did leave the car sitting around for 2 or 3 weeks again, and this week just gone, I daily drove the car every day. It's been absolutely fine. I didn't have a charger on the car while it was sat for 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm confident it's nothing to do with battery voltage. But like I say, because the fault doesn't latch for too long, it doesn't really give me an opportunity to test things at the DSC module. You know, if everything's looking okay, then I'm not going to be able to spot the fault. The patterns that I am seeing is it only seems to do it when the vehicle's warmed up, when it's hot. It doesn't seem to do it from cold when it's been sitting overnight. And I initially thought it was because the car had been sitting around for 2 or 3 weeks. Drove it to work that first day on that first Monday of the first week, and then when I came to leave work, Driving it back halfway home, that's when it popped up, when the car was warmed up. Once we got past that first day, everything seemed alright for about 3 weeks, but then it did fail again that time when I was at the supermarket, and I'd been driving it every day. And so far I've checked the DSC fuses, the relays, the wheel speed sensor operation, all 4 of them, the battery, the alternator, everything's looking okay. So from what I can see, it looks like the DSC module might be failing, but like I say, it is hard to tell. I can't actually carry out a proper diagnostic on the system while it's failing because it's so brief. So I'm kind of in a position at the minute where I'm like, well, what do I do? So I think moving forward, I'll leave it for the time being because it only happens every once in a while. We'll see how we go with it. If it does keep popping up, I think what I'll do is remove the DSC module, and there's a local guy here who does repair them. I'll get him to pull apart the module and just inspect the circuit board and see if there's anything odd going on in there. I'm a bit reluctant to dive in and do that right away because, like I said in that previous video, sometimes what can happen is just the process of carrying out the repair on the circuit board can actually introduce problems and damage it where it's beyond repair. So I don't want to dive in there straight away and start breaking things open. So I think what we'll do at this stage, we'll just leave it be. We'll see how we go with it, but I will plan for some time in the future to maybe remove that DSC module, and then we'll get the repairer just to cast his eye over the circuit board, see what's going on there, and of course I'll make a video on it when we do get to that stage. So unfortunately, as much as I'd like this video to be a solution to the issue, that's where we're at this stage, but I know a lot of you guys were commenting wanting an update on it, so that's as far as we've got. Guys, if you found the video interesting, don't forget to give it a like, and make sure you go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more BMW E60 M5 content. Consider subscribing if that's your cup of tea. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.